Hello and welcome to another video from oorail. In this video we're going to show you how to quickly weather points with spray paint. So today I'm using this American product. It's actually used for a camouflage cover. One reason why I'm using the camouflage paint is that it's non-reflective, it's ultra flat, and you can basically spray it at any kind of angle. It also has this sort of double cover technology, so like when you spray it, it seems to put a decent coat on it. And now this particular kind of paint I got from Walmart, I think it's like $3 or $4. One thing to keep in mind that the camouflage does come in a couple of different colors. It's green, sand, earth brown, and so on. And it's actually used for like deer hunting, spraying stands and other things. So the color I'm using is earth brown. The product code is 279178. I've used this before in a couple of different videos, and it works really well. So to basically weather points, one of the problems that you have is that you have these moving parts that you don't want the paint to cause the blades to stick. So what I'm going to be using is just a piece of cardboard, and what I'm using is construction paper. It's pretty thin, and it's not going to damage the point work. And just cut it into strips, and then you basically just cut it into a thinner strip like that, a couple millimeters. And all I'm doing is folding it in half, lining it up just a little bit past the blade and the direction I'm spraying, and just dropping it in. So you just put it in there and flick the point over and you're done. So I'm not sure if my hand's in the way, but you can see there it's basically dropped in just past the edge, and you want to make sure that's flat. So there you go. So if you can see here, it may not be too apparent, but basically the point, well, it's kind of like halfway flicked over. There's a gap in there, so when I spray the paint, it's not going to cause the blade here to stick to the other part of the rail. And I've basically done this across the board for all of the point work that's in this junction. And what I'm going to do next is basically spray paint it. Now, because what I really should have done is spray painted this stuff before I put it down. But I didn't do that, so I waited until I was doing the scenery here in the background in order to do this. So you're going to need a couple other things along with the spray paint. I'm using some cotton buds, basically just to clean the paint off the surface area while it's still wet. Some kitchen towel also works pretty well for doing the same thing. And I've also got a Pico track eraser, which I'm basically going to use to clean the track before I spray paint it, just to make sure that there's no debris or dirt kind of sitting out like from the polystyrene bits, even though I've vacuumed it out. I'm doing this now mainly because I haven't painted this scenic background train on the elevated track section yet, and so if I get some overspray, it's not going to matter, and I'm going to spray it at such an angle that there's not going to be any backsplash onto the back scene either, so it should work pretty nicely. I'm going to do it in small bursts, mainly because this is in the basement and it's not very well ventilated, so don't want to get too high with the paint. And remember, this is pretty dangerous if you breathe too much of it in, so it's a good idea to wear a safety mask as well. Another thing I'm doing while I'm doing this is I have some space here in the front of the layout, and I'm going to use that space to spray paint with some of the flex track that's going to go up here as well. That way it's already weathered and I don't have to mess with spraying near the back scene and stuff like that. So first off, like I said, we're going to go and clean the track with a track eraser. So it should already be pretty well clean. There's some bits of polystyrene, and I typically use a toothpick just to get those bits out. You're not going to completely clean the track from where it's been messed with the back scene, but we'll try to get as many bits as we can out, just so that it's not too bad. So I'll move the paint can out of the way here, and just like I said, just cleaning the track over, and we're gonna not get too crazy about it because we are going to spray paint it and then clean the surface anyway. You do want to make sure that you don't knock any of your protective paperwork off the points here. This is already, back line was already kind of cleaned because I ran the HST over it for testing, but you do want to make sure So there's no kind of plaster or polystyrene bits left over. So there's a couple of little polystyrene bits. I'm gonna get that out of the way. There's some here from the plaster, and I find if you take the toothpick and just run it in at above the rail ties like this, you can sleepers. You can kind of clean out any debris that maybe you can't see in there. The GoPro is also pretty handy for checking out the track and so on. But it seems we got most of it. It looks pretty clean. So the next stage is just to make sure your track is firmly down, that you didn't miss any track pins or anything like that that you wanted to add. I know I'm pretty bad at that. I'll tack some to track down and then realize I probably need to come back and add some more track pins, but this is looking pretty good. Got most of the stuff out of the way. So what I'm going to do next is basically spray paint it. So you take the spray paint can, you can start here rattling. So you start shaking this for a minute. I've already pre-shaken this for about 5 minutes ago, but I'm going to shake it up again just to be safe. And I'm going to start at the back and work my way forward. You want to make sure you have nothing in the way, like tools, trains, and like that. About 5 or 6 feet away should be fine. Now these are insel frog points, but it shouldn't really matter. So you take the spray can, kind of point it down a couple inches away, and just spray like that. You can sort of see there the overspray, which is one of the reasons why I had not done this until the back seam was protected by the Alright, so that's pretty much it in terms of what you need to do. The smell is pretty strong. So you don't want to do this in too much at once, but what I do next is just take the Q-tip and run it along the top of the rail. While it's still wet, like so, and you can see that helps out quite a bit. Usually takes a couple of passes. And it won't be perfect. I'll need to run the track cleaning train over this now when it's done, but I was going to do that anyway because I'm going to be doing a lot of scenic work and stuff here. And you will go through the Q-tips quite quickly, but this stuff dries pretty fast too, so you want to get it done as quickly as you can. It's already starting to become a little thick. And I want to run across the track here, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. I'll clean up the rest of this, and if it gets hardened, you just end up using a small screwdriver to chip it off, but it's a lot easier just to wipe it off while it's still wet. Alright, so hope you enjoyed this video, and oh, one other thing before I go. Once this point work has sort of dried a little bit, you want to start flicking it back and forth just to make sure the paint doesn't lock in the mechanism or anything like that. But other than that, it should be pretty much fine. There's a little bit of a gap between these, so it's not going to do anything, as you can see there, and it's still wet. So the only other thing that you probably want to do is just do it in maybe slightly smaller sections than I have here, just so it doesn't dry on you. But it should be pretty good. Alright, so you can see here we've basically cleaned off the track as best we can. We're going to let this dry, and then we'll move on to the next section. Just this section has produced quite a lot of fumes. I have also weathered, as you can see, the track that's going to go up here, and while it was drying I also decided to paint the back scene as well a little bit, so it's looking good so far. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You want to make sure that the point work still works, but it's going pretty good. So we'll go and test the point work in a follow-up video. We'll show you how to test point work after weathering it. Alright, so that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time.